Hi, it's Jay from the studio, and I'm so delighted this morning to have the opportunity to introduce our newest teacher, Elise Gallagher, and have a conversation with her about a form of yoga that's coming to the studio, Ashtanga yoga. Good morning, Elise. I'm so
Good
glad to have you
morning.
here. Good morning. So could you tell me a little bit about what Ashtanga means?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. This is great. I'm excited about this. So the word Ashtanga can be a little bit scary sometimes, I think, for people, but basically it just means 8 limbs. And so Ashtanga yoga is the 8 limbs of yoga. And when you come to an Ashtanga class, typically you're just doing the third limb, which is asana or the postures. So this is a really great, gateway into all of the other limbs that kind of develop from that point. But the third limb of the 8 limbs is what we do in the practice itself and what we'll be doing in the class. So Ashtanga is different from Vinyasa in a couple different ways, but there are going to be more similarities than differences if you're familiar with Vinyasa classes. So the first similarity is that the postures will be very familiar to you. It's a lot of the same postures, they may just be strung together differently. So in Vinyasa classes, one difference is Vinyasa classes often have music accompanying them, and the teacher is usually standing at the front of the room teaching the class, kind of leading or guiding the class through a series of poses. So in Ashtanga, it's still a set of poses, but it's the same set every single time. It's not going to change class to class or week to week. So you learn the poses, you kind of go through up to a certain point. Your teacher will kind of give you sets of poses up to a point and then continue on as you're ready. And you'll do the same thing every day. So it becomes more of a moving meditation. There's no music. It's more like movement to the breath, to the sound of your own breath. And traditionally it's taught in a setting where there's just a group of people in the room doing their practice, from start up until where they've stopped. And the teacher is walking around helping each person individually rather than standing at the front of the room kind of guiding them through the series. So that's one difference. Well, I guess a couple differences there, but it's very similar. It's a lot of the same. It'll feel very similar. It's just more. I want to say disciplined, but I don't know that that's the right word. It becomes more of a routine or becomes part of your routine because it's the same thing that you do every day.
Sure. And I love what you said about meditation and movement, because when I first talked to you about Ashtanga yoga, that was what I understood. That's the first thing that spoke to me, was sort of this consistent practice that leads us into a state of meditation. And so when we gather for the 4-week series that we're going to start in April here, I know you're going to be introducing sort of the sequence and how we get into that regular practice. But what about if I can't make all 4 weeks of the series? Because I know they build on one another.
Yeah, that's a great question. So because they do kind of build upon each other, and it would be, it's important to kind of get it all together. What I would love to do is meet with people individually on Zoom or as a group if multiple people can't make one or multiple classes. I would love to get together with them through the week sometime on Zoom and get them kind of caught up so that when they come to the next class, they won't feel like they've missed anything. They'll be ready to go.
Super. That sounds great. So who is Ashtanga intended for?
That's also it's a common question. I laugh because I hear so many people say, I'm not strong enough, I'm not flexible enough to do Ashtanga. And I've heard it said many different ways, but that's like saying, one way I've heard my teacher say it is, that's like saying your teeth are too dirty to brush them. Like
Mm.
the yoga is the thing that will help those. So the answer to that is that this Ashtanga yoga is for everyone.
Mhm.
So the thing there are many things I love about this practice, but one thing I love about it from a teacher's perspective is that because it's the same set of poses, but because you work with each person individually and they have their own practice, so one person will have, 5 or 6 postures that they start with. The next person may have 30, 40, it's everyone's on the same path, but at their own pace. And so from a teaching standpoint, that makes it really easy for me to help make it accessible for everyone and make it safe for everyone. So there are a lot of modifications that we can do, and really tailor this to the individual, which I think makes this practice for everyone.
Yeah. So if I hear you, then it's accessible. It's intended for everyone. It's an opportunity for us to go deeply into the practice with some assistance as needed.
Yes, absolutely. And even, I've seen people do this practice from a chair. If
Oh, cool.
if they've had an injury, or if they're, just starting their yoga journey. And it can be a taxing, physically demanding, tiring practice, but you start wherever you're at. So um, it can be modified in many different ways. I had a colleague of mine who had surgery on her foot, and she did the practice, all of it seated, so it can be made for each individual.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so excited to have people experience this at the studio, but I'm also excited to have you be a part of the studio too. And wonder if you could just share a little bit about yourself and your journey to yoga.
Yeah, I'm really excited to join too. It's a beautiful space that you have, and I'm really excited to be coming to teach there and get to know the community that you have there. So let's see. I started my first yoga class was either in 2004 or 2005. It was over a summer, and I took an intro to Ashtanga course, and so I learned about Ashtanga, and I wasn't ready then. I kind of I loved it. I really loved it, but it was more the physical aspect that I loved about it. And one thing this practice does is it's like a mirror for your life, and it would bring things up in me that I wasn't ready to look at. So I kept walking away from it. And then at I would notice at difficult times in my life, I would find myself, more drawn to it again, and it would come back. And so I I would do my practice periodically, but every time it got tough, kind of from an emotional standpoint, I would walk away from it. So then it's been 3 years now. 3 years ago, it was November of 2017. I quit smoking, and I had gained a bunch of weight, and I was, extremely unhealthy. And I just I needed something, and I was ready. I was determined to get healthy, and not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So I found a teacher in March of 2018, and since then I've had a dedicated practice. So it's most of the time it's 6 days a week, and I'm doing the primary series. You know, I did what I'm going to be teaching up through half primary. I did that for the first 6 months, and then just slowly started building onto that from there. And I mean, it's changed my life. So that's, I became a teacher shortly after. So I started practicing in March and then was very dedicated to it. And then in September of 2018, I went and got my 200-hour teacher training. And then I did my 300-hour the following year. So I've just been I dove in. So yeah, so I love yin as well. And, you know, vinyasa, it's all yoga, and it's all wonderful. And this practice in particular, I do it I needed discipline at the time. I needed the structure of this practice. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't just sit and meditate. I needed something physical to, you know, put my body through so that my body could be focusing on something else and allow my mind to rest. And so I do this practice because of that, and because it is the same thing every day. It showed me what I'm capable of, really. I mean, I had extremely low self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself. You know, I had no confidence. And it showed me, you know, doing the same pose every single day. You know, you start in one place, and then 2 months later, it's developed into this whole different thing. And you realize, at least it made me realize, you know, if I can do this, you know, if I keep showing up,
Yeah.
I can do this. So it's taught me a lot about life too. You know, if I just keep showing up and I just keep working at it, I got this. So so that's why that's kind of my yoga journey. And I think I probably answered multiple questions there, so I apologize, but I was on a
Perfect.
roll.
No, I love what you say about showing up. And I also loved what you said about yoga being central to attending to our well-being physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of those things. I think that's the true gift of yoga, no matter what branch of yoga we practice. And so I really appreciate both you sharing a little bit about your own journey and about just how Ashtanga yoga fits into the bigger picture of our commitment to providing a space for people to cultivate their whole wellness and their wholeness in themselves. So thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
yeah, of course. Yeah, I think the ultimate goal is to, you know, put your body in, you know, difficult situations and learn to breathe there so that you can do that off the mat too. So
That's right. Elise, thank you for sharing about your practice, about this new class, and about yourself. We're excited and happy to welcome you to Quest for Balance Wellness. Elise will begin offering Ashtanga Yoga on Saturday, April 10th at 11 o'clock a.m. That will be the 4-week series. So you can go to our website at Quest for Balance Wellness, QFBWellness.com. And sign up for the classes there. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to the studio on our Facebook page or our website, and we'd be happy to get back to you. So thanks again, Elise, and we look forward to seeing you all on your mat.